Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Coach Les and Mr. Yarwood from Yarwood's Martial Arts, and we are here again this week after a phenomenal holiday with Yma Mat Chat, and we are going to be talking about perseverance, which is perfect for this time of year because so many people dwindle and fade off at the end of the year like there's some place to be said that they could be done and go, oh, another year. And the whole goal is to persevere. It is one of the most vital qualities for success in martial arts. It's the ability to continue striving toward a goal despite challenges, setbacks, and difficulties. In the context of martial arts, perseverance is essential for several reasons that we're going to be going over today. And I'm actually going to let Mr. Yarwood take over and jump into the first. So good morning, Mr. Yarwood.
Good morning. Good morning. Merry post-Christmas, I guess.
Happy Boxing Day. Happy Boxing Day.
Oh.
In England, this is called Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. It's actually a national holiday.
What is it? What is it?
It's all about it's the day that they would have the fights.
Oh.
That's the origin of Boxing Day. And, boxing stuff up. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of myth behind it.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Well, there you go.
Very cool. You learn something new every day, I guess, huh? Good thing I got up this morning. So perseverance for me is probably, for me, the most important of the life skills. Without perseverance, without the desire to want to keep going, you're just going to quit and you're not going to finish anything. You're never going to get anything done. You're never going to accomplish anything. You're never going to be successful, because if all you ever do is quit, then nothing gets done. So perseverance to me is so important. It's part of my tattoo that I have for my black belt. I got it done when I got my first degree black belt, and I put perseverance in as one of the things that's most important to me. So that's how important it is to me. I put it on my arm. So it kind of drives everything else that we do in the martial art world, not just martial arts, but in life in general. But starting with just how you learn and how you learn the new moves that we're teaching you, especially when you get started, because it can be very frustrating, because there's moves that we do, there's different types of coordination things that we do that are hard. They're a challenge. There's something different than you're used to doing. Like some of the skills that we learn in martial arts aren't taught anywhere else. Like I played football basically my entire youth and into college, and some of the skills I learned in martial arts we never even touched on in football, and it can be challenging and frustrating when you're first learning. So if you run into a move that you struggle with, maybe your coordination is off, maybe your flexibility is off, if you don't push through it, if you decide it's not for me, and you don't even bother trying, if you don't get to that point where you start to advance a little bit, you'll never get to the end, because you're constantly going to run into challenges when it comes to your skill level. And if you give up all the time, you're not going to make it, because that mindset of never quit, of keep going, if it's not there, you're going to quit not just martial arts, but basically everything that you do, because if things get hard, never mind, I'm going to go try something else. And then each time you try something else, you just wasted the time that you could have spent getting better at the thing that you struggled with, right? And then you got to start over on something else, and then you're going to run into obstacles along that, and then you're going to quit again, and I'm going to go find something else. That the grass is always greener concept, right? It's going to be, that looks a lot easier, I'm going to try that, and you're just never going to finish anything. You're never going to be successful.
And I think we live in a society today that promotes try something new, try something new, try something new, try something new.
Yep.
And instead of the old, if you remember this, what is it? If at first you don't succeed, try again, right?
Yep.
Now it's if at first you don't succeed, try something new.
Yep. Yep.
Now, I guess you could say from a marketing and a business aspect, it's great because it puts more wealth out into the world, right? Because but the difficulty with that is, like you said, learning is a process of how we overcome challenges. And no matter how you look at it, from spiritual, from family, from business, it is how do you overcome the challenges that are naturally inherent in one, relationships, two, work, three, learning and growing. And if you don't push that window, if you don't go past that breaking point, I mean, you look at the people that have broke the 4-minute mile, right? That first person to break the 4-minute mile on record, then immediately there was a flood of people, like 100 and some people within a month broke the 4-minute mile. But until that first one, it can't be done. Human being can't run that fast.
Yep. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the Navy SEALs, and they have a lot of different sayings that they say, but their main saying that they have is never quit.
Yeah.
2 words, very powerful. Never quit. You're going to run into problems. Maybe you physically aren't capable of doing certain things, right? That's fine, but figure out a way, right? If you decide up here that you're done, your body will say, okay, we're done. That's it. Your brain is way more powerful than you realize. Your body can do whatever your brain tells it to do. And if your brain tells it to quit, it will. And once you get that in your head that I'll just try something new. I'll just quit and do something different. That's hard to overcome. And then it's easier to just keep saying that because your brain is like, well, that was easy. Let's do it again and do it again and do it again. And pretty much down the road, you don't even realize that you're quitting on yourself constantly because it becomes normal. It's just the way you do things. So I look at it from the standpoint is like once you make that decision to quit, you're going to quit on everything. And there's certain times where you're going to run into something that honestly you're not able to do, and that's fine. But quitting is not the option. The option is find a different way, find a new path, keep moving forward. But to just stop and say I'm done, it's over.
Yeah, it's and I think it doesn't matter what it is. It is.
Nope.
I'm just thinking in my own experience, right? In my own journey in martial arts, my own journey in cooking, my own journey in working out, my own journey in business, all of it. I mean, as a business coach, when I first started, there were so many times I wanted to throw in the towel and go get that, $125,000 a year job with medical benefits and 401k and go punch a clock. And I had plenty of times. There were several people that called me and whispered in my ear, "Hey, we'd love to have you come work with us." And I'm like, no, can't do it. Can't do it. Don't want to go back to that rat race.
Nope.
Now, does that mean that what I started on my own was easy? Not at all. I mean, there was many times that I've wanted to, walk away. And then, the things that I've learned, we've got these, we talked about skill development. We've talked about overcoming challenges and building mental strength. And to me, that mental strength piece is probably the most powerful one on here, at least for me individually, because and it says here on our cheat sheet, martial arts are as much about mental discipline as physical ability. Perseverance strengthens focus, resilience, and determination, which are essential for both training and real life situations. And as Mr. Yarwood was saying, the ability to focus, that ability to train the mind to go beyond, to set pain aside. And he used the SEAL team as an example. And, you know, there's a couple of videos on YouTube for those of you that are ever interested. Just take a look. And you'll see it's very, you'll see some people come out of high school or come out of college and head into the SEALs, and they are super buff. They're super, you know, highly physically manicured is the best way I would put it. And, you know, they've gone through the pain of working out, busting through, getting bigger, stronger, more flexible, everything. And you think, wow, watching them go into the training, they're going to blow it away. Like they are mentally up to the challenge because of what they've already had to do. And then you start to face things that aren't part of working out in a gym.
Yep.
You know, getting cold in the water, and you're so cold that your body's uncontrollably just moving, right? And rather than learning how to just deal with it, it drives them to distraction. You know, and the drill instructors, the SEAL team instructors come over and they whisper in your ear, come on, you know that bell over there? I will personally bring you a hot cup of chocolate the minute you ring that bell, and we'll wrap you up and you'll be able to go back to your normal duty station. I mean, and they do anything and everything to be slippery and slithery, because the SEALs have to be trained to be not only able to handle the physical, but the mental. You know, what if they get captured? Are they going to crumble right away and give away all the secrets? Or are they going to be able to handle the, which could be electrocution versus cold water? It could be nail pulling, where they literally rip a nail out of your hand, your finger. And some of these things are excruciatingly painful. If for some of you that may have ripped off a toenail or ripped off a nail by accident and it rips off, I mean, it's raw. You know, those kind of things. To be, how do you turn that off? How do you instill that discipline, create that mental power to be able to say, okay, yes, it's happening. Yes, I can feel it. Yes, I want it to stop. And this is what it's going to take to get there. And I think martial arts is so good at training that into people. And, you know, I commend you, Mr. Yarwood, because that's one of the things that has drawn me to you, is your ability to continue to inspire, to move forward, to invite people to step outside of their box.
Yeah, to me, we have a few rules in my school.
A few.
One of them is we have banned a word, and that word is can't. It is banned. We call it the C word. And you can go into our school, and any kid who's been there for a certain amount of time, you can ask them to say that word, and they will not say it, because they know what it means and what the consequences are for even thinking that word. And it's a word that is so limiting. It's the opposite of perseverance. And from the day one, it's drilled into them. This word is not allowed in your vocabulary anymore. We talk to parents about it. Not allowed in your vocabulary anymore. You find a way to do something that you're struggling with. You got to figure it out. You got to go around, under, over, above, whatever it is you need to do, but you figure it out. And if you use that word, it immediately stops you from doing what it is that you're trying to do, because your brain is like, oh, okay, I can't do it. That's it. I'm done. And it is such a powerful word, and your brain is very susceptible to things. When you continue to tell it things over and over and over again, it starts to listen to you, and it starts to tell you back, hey, you told me you can't do that. Well, let's not do it then. Let's go do something else that's easier, that's more comfortable, that we know we can do, right? You fall back onto your defaults of all the things you were already good at. And the problem with that is that when you always do the things you're really good at and you don't expand, then you're limited, you're narrowing your path, and it becomes an issue. So we've completely banned the word, and kids have tried doing they try and say other ways of can't, right? And I know all the different variations of the word can't, right? And kids like if they're struggling, we do for our black belts, we do a 6 a.m. workout. It's a 3-hour workout. It's a dedication workout and a perseverance workout. How much are you willing to push yourself to earn that black belt? And I tell them, I said, quitting is the same as can't. When you quit, you just told yourself you can't do it. Even if you didn't physically say it, you still said it. Your brain understands that. So I always try and find ways to get my kids to push themselves without them realizing it sometimes, right? They don't know what they're capable of until I come up and say, hey, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. And the understanding and the belief that I have in them, they take that into account. And they go, well, if Mr. Yarwood thinks I can do it, then I can, right? Because I constantly tell them, you can do it. I know you can. I wouldn't have you do something that you're not capable of doing. You might struggle with it. It might be really hard. You might think you can't do it. But if you decide that you're going to do it and then you go do it, then you're like, oh. And then that starts to build up that confidence that, hey, whatever I decide I want to do, I can do. I just don't want to quit. And it's become the mantra of our school. It's like, never quit. Find a way. You know, it might not be the first way that you did. What is it? Thomas Edison said, they asked him about his light bulb. And they said, yeah, you failed 10,000 times. He goes, no, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I just found 10,000 ways it didn't work. It's a whole different mindset, right? Doesn't work this way, try this. Doesn't work this way, do this. Doesn't work this way, do this. It's just that never quit attitude. That's what creates that success.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the interesting thing about that, it's the same with sales, right? So this excuse me, dealing with salespeople, you know, it takes time, you know, and some people go, well, Johnny did it and it did it in the first time. It's like, okay, I get that. And it can be very frustrating to see that somebody come in, first time they do it, bang, they get it done. And you're sitting here, I've tried this 100 times, right? And that to me is, you know, how do you deal with failure? What is it that you're looking at that because you've done it 100 times and you've failed 100 times, do you see the value in what you've learned each time you've done it? Because there's an old adage that says that as you're looking at something, if that isn't it, and 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 that isn't it, what will slowly rise up from all of that is what it is. And the question is, can you hang on until that rises up and makes itself available? And the reward in that, oh my gosh, the success to watch somebody, you know, even for me, you know, as a color belt, to watch myself complete something and see that I completed it with minimal errors, right? You know, there's no such thing as perfect. And to be able to say, yep, I passed. Like I met the measurements, I met the requirements to move to the next level. And, you know, the discovery of that, and this I think is the, you know, when you look at a lifelong practice, what it makes available, when you continue to do it, to grow, to move, to grow, to move, to grow, to move, to grow, is the ability to know in yourself and inside of whatever it is that, you know what, I have the ability to win at a game. I may not win the first time. I may not win the second time or the 100th time. And I know that if I continue, by the time I get to the wherever it is, I'm going to win. That whole premise of I can't do this is some autonomic response from the failure driven, that's that internal little voice saying, you don't want to change. You don't want to change. You know what this failure piece looks like. Don't, because then as soon as you change and as soon as you succeed, then there's the next level.
It doesn't stop.
No. And I think for me, I've become not addicted in a negative way, but I've become excited about what's the next challenge. You know, in being a senior color belt, seeing and asking questions about doing stuff, you know, at first used to frustrate me with Mr. Yarwood. It's like, well, why didn't you tell me that in the first place? And he's over there giggling because he knows if I'd have told you that in the first place, even though you may be smart, you wouldn't have understood what it meant to hear that in that moment. It's literally like putting a brick on top of open air. Yeah, that brick is still strong. And yes, I can teach you about that brick. But if the foundation isn't there for me to put the brick on, it's going to knock over.
Yep.
And we don't know that as a student. You don't know that. And that's one of the things to me that earning that achievement, learning, breaking through for me is so powerful. And then being able to see how this relates. And for me, it's sometimes because I'm older, I can look and go, oh yeah, well, that's what I did in the sales world. Of course I have to do it in this world. There's no free ride. There's no, quick trip.
Yeah.
So thank you.
For me, I mean, I guess technically I'm a high ranked black belt, but I look at it from the standpoint, I still have probably more years ahead of me than I have behind me to get to my ultimate goal. Right. But currently I'm working on earning my 6th degree and then becoming a master instructor. And that is, the more I dive into the things that I need to do to become that, the more I realize I don't know nearly as much as I thought I did, because there's so much more that as you learn something, it opens up something else, right? Just because I learned that thing doesn't mean I'm done. What that means is like, now, okay, I've learned this one thing, which teaches me that there's 5 more things to learn going forward from that. And then once I learn those things, then there's 5 more on each one of those. And it just keeps expanding. So once you decide in your head that you're done, you lose out on all those other things that are ahead of you that would have opened up for you had you just kept going a little bit longer. And for me, there was at some point, I was like, well, what else is there? Why should I keep going? There's, it's like, it's never ending. At first it was frustrating. It's like, the more I learn, the more I got to learn. And like, how much longer do I need to go till I know? And it's like,
till you die.
When you die, that's it, right? You stop learning, but there's always more to learn. There's always something out there that's bigger that you can tap into that you don't even realize is there. You don't know what you don't know, but you'll never figure that stuff out if you quit. You'll never realize. It just keeps getting, to me, it keeps getting better. Even though it's frustrating to learn new things, sometimes it's empowering to know that, hey, I have the ability, the capability to get out there and expand my knowledge base, expand my physical knowledge base, all those things that are out there for me, which allows me to then pass that on to my students, right? Just like you learned something new from me, I learned something new from other people that I can pass on to you. I'm not ready yet for some of the things that are ahead of me. That's why I haven't learned them yet. I know they're there. I don't know what they are, but I know they're there because I've gotten to this point based on that. And if I think that, okay, it's just this is what I'm going to learn, and then there's not going to be anything else, then it's naive thinking. But I know for sure if I quit, I'm not going to learn those things. I'm not going to be as successful as I want to be, right? It's a never-ending thing, but that's the beauty of it. It's like you reach goals and milestones, but that's not the end. That's just one step along the journey. You're never going to get to that final destination by quitting. It's never going to happen. So to me, perseverance is that key element that keeps the drive going, that keeps you growing and learning and finding and knowing and all those other things that go along with it. It's never ending as far as I'm concerned. But some people see that as like, oh, it's never going to end, right? And when you get that mindset that it's never going to end, that's when you quit. Plain and simple.
No quitting allowed.
Nope. No quitting allowed.
One of the, let's see, there's this last piece. Developing a lifelong practice. Martial arts are not just a sport, but a way of life. Perseverance ensures that practitioners maintain their dedication and continue their journey, even as their goals and circumstances evolve. And, even in perseverance in martial arts fosters that growth. It builds resilience. It ensures long-term success. Why? Because it's inherent in how, in this particular case, in how Mr. Yarwood holds people accountable for the goals, the games, the game that they're playing personally, how they're responding. And, what he hasn't told you is, and I'm going to say something about it, is, there's a quote unquote punishment that's assigned to saying the word can't. And it's called 10 burpees. And for those of you that you'll just look up what a burpee is. It's probably the most disliked physical exercise or warm up or whatever you want to call it, because it involves like multiple things, and to do them, it involves a push-up, it involves jumping, it involves stretching, it involves, collapsing on yourself and springing up into action. And, knowing that I don't look at it as a physical punishment, like somebody hitting you with a stick or anything like that. What I look at it is it causes the brain to start to remember and associate. You say the negative word, there's a negative physical attribute that comes along with it to have you start to remember, do I really want to do 10 burpees, or am I going to learn how to get past this point of saying I can't and see what's available on the other side? And to me, that's going to promote a much more stronger, much more disciplined individual in me, which I can then take anywhere else in my life.
Yeah, it's like I get it is it's consequences for actions. It's not necessarily punishment, right? You're not being punished for something. You're realizing that, hey, this is something I'm not supposed to do, and if I do it, then it comes with consequences. That's just the way it is, right? So understanding the difference between punishment and consequences is a huge part of, like, when I help the parents out. It's like you're not punishing them for anything. You're creating these scenarios where if they do something, if they do this, then this is what's going to happen. If they know going into it that there's consequences to it, they're more likely to think about not doing it because they don't want the consequences that come with it. So they know beforehand what's going to happen to them. It's not like suddenly you do something and your mom smacks you across the head. What was that for? Well, you should know, right? It doesn't work that way. If they don't know, it doesn't have any effect. But if they know there's consequences for actions, they're less likely to do those actions because they don't also want the consequences that come with it. It's a powerful tool. And then afterwards, then you remind them, hey, you got to reinforce the lesson. Like, now remember why you did those. We're not using this word, and it's for a reason. And if you remind them when they do it, then they start to go, oh yeah, it makes sense. And it's not just the consequences that they're trying to avoid now. They're starting to understand that consequences beyond the physical are also there too. Like if you keep saying that word, you're going to stop yourself from doing stuff. Those are the real consequences to them, not just the physical 10 burpees. That's just a reminder of what is to come if you continue doing what you're not supposed to do.
Yes. The challenge of the day. Well, I appreciate your time, Mr. Yarwood, and
Yes,
I think that this is, the next level, right? We've covered some amazing topics, and we'll continue to cover them. And the opening that I see is for people to be able to come and watch this video. You can review it on several Facebook or on Coach Les's LinkedIn, my YouTube, and X. And I think the beauty about these is, for some of you, you may go, oh yeah, I know all that. Yeah, I know that. Yep. I've heard it before. The question is, when's the last time you sold out on yourself? And is there something from listening to these videos, finding yourself, regrounding yourself, and pushing through it? So I appreciate the opportunity to work with you alongside this, and look forward to the next time, Mr. Yarwood.
Yes, sir.
And with that, here we go.
See you on the mats.